All right, we are rocking and rolling at this point. We are on fire. I can feel it. I can see you putting in the effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears. You're out there, you're training, you're pumping it up. I love it. So your summary area by now should be great. I want you, if you haven't already, go back and really hone that thing in. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be as good as possible. So don't skip that. Now, with that said, I trust you. We're going to move on. I'm sure it's great. Let's talk about your experience section. And if you haven't, you notice LinkedIn has these arrows here. You can drag and drop and move sections of your LinkedIn profile around. So if yours isn't laid out like mine is, that just means you need to move a section around, okay? So let me show you again. You've got these arrows that you can drag and drop and pull up and down certain sections. So summary can move up, experience can move down. I want you putting your summary at the very, very top, as high as it can go. And then I want your experience next. I'm not worried about volunteering and books and awards and things like that or skills. Let's put all that below, okay? Because people want to know what you do, and then they want to know where you've worked and are you legit, all that good stuff. So let's talk about the experience section. You can see here right away when you get into the editing, if you need to add new positions or companies, you add them that way. And it pulls up a box like this where you can put in a title. And again, what you want to do, you can include your job title, but I would not make that the focal point. I'm much more interested in keywords. So here's an example of a LinkedIn Riches student that's done it well. David Rogers, you can see him here. He's got his own financial planning company. And again, I showed you his summary. He's done a nice job there. Here's his experience section. His first listing is his company, Rogers Capital. And what he's done with his headline is he's giving you his title, Managing Director, Rogers Capital Management. Okay, that's okay. But what I'm most happy about with David is his keywords are in there: retirement planning, financial planning, investing. And then he's following the same format, which is what I want you to utilize as well. What we do, what our clients say, how it works, why it works, ready to talk, right? That's key. I want you emulating that same approach. Don't overthink this. Don't write it like a resume. Don't, follow the same format that you see in the summary. What we do, how we do it. What I want you to do is, the summary is limited. You can't put everything you want to say in your summary because of the character limits. So save some or whatever you can't fit in there and put that in experience, especially with your chief number one top priority, whatever company you want to focus on, business, consulting, whatever it is that you want, have that listed. And it's important to get that to the top to say, I currently work here. If you say I currently work here, this little tab here, that will push it to the top of your experience level. And then you'll see with other listings, right, where you pick the years, then it will, change it and move it up or down depending on the timeline you put. So you may need to just play with this time period area to get your, job listings to line up correctly. So hopefully that makes sense. What I'll show you with mine, for example, is if you go all the way down, I do want you to list all the places you've worked. I do think that's important. So let me start at the bottom, right? My career goes all the way back to 1997. That's for one simple reason. I'm old, right? I just turned 40. It was a nice run. But listen, it is important to have a complete experience section. What I mean by that is listing all the places you've worked, connecting the dots on your career so that people know you've been gainfully employed, that you haven't just been flipping burgers for the last 20 years. So I put in there where I've worked, what years. But again, notice it's not War and Peace. I'm not putting in tons and tons of information about all my different companies or jobs. Just enough to kind of build up credibility, to connect the dots so the years kind of line up, so I can say, hey, here's the companies I've worked at. I might go into more detail at certain companies if it applies to what I'm doing now and if it helps build credibility. So you can see at certain companies, I added more because I had more credibility or awards or accolades, or I wanted to promote a certain thing. And you can see then I changed the years. Like right now, I don't want the public speaking business at the top, so I can change that, right? And then I can change the years and say, oh, okay, I'll just put that as 2015, 2016, whatever. And that's a great way to maneuver the timing of it. But again, with the experience sections, It's important to, put in obviously where you're located. People want to know that, especially if you're doing local, but follow the same format as the summary. What I do, why it matters, my book, my story, who I am, specialties. You can put in some more keywords here, who we serve, how it works, case studies, examples of our work, anything like that that's going to bolster and build your credibility, your authority, your branding is really important. So I look at John Morgan's profile. He's actually my business coach. How's that for, full disclosure? I love this guy. He's phenomenal, right? So highly recommend him if you want a business coach. Now, what John has done is he's got a great summary, obviously, what I do, how I do it, all that stuff. But then at his experience level, he's promoting, right, his individual work. Business coaching, brand consultant, marketing consultant, speaker, best-selling author. And the company is called Morgan Group, but he's not putting that in the headline. He's not putting that he's the owner or the CEO because, again, people really don't care about that. They care about what he does, right? So if I'm a business owner or whatever looking for help, oh, okay, this guy's a business coach or a brand consultant, etc. And again, he's following that format here in experience. What I do, how it works, who I work with. Here's a good one to include. What makes me different? How do you differentiate yourself from the competition, right? And he's saying, unlike many business coaches, I actually have owned and run businesses, right? I'm not up in the ivory tower. I'm down in the trenches doing it with you. So, and then he's adding in, what others say, and so specialties. So he's putting in some keywords. So again, that's an example. He's got another business, a group coaching program. So he's created a separate entry for that. That's another tip for you. If you have multiple different types of services or products you offer, create a new section for each one. And the way that you do that here is under experience. Let me get to that. Under experience, you just click add a position. And then you can add a new line of service, a new product. So for the company name, just put what the product or the service is or the audience that you serve. So, that's one of my tips if you have to appeal to multiple audiences on LinkedIn. Create multiple positions under experience to cater to each audience. Does that make sense? So for me, you can see I've had several different companies and several different audiences that I wanted to appeal to on LinkedIn. So what I did was with my experience here, I had the LinkedIn program, the LinkedIn book at the top, but I also had a marketing agency aimed at a specific audience. See that? Debt collection industry marketing, right? That's how I got my start. If you know my story at all, that's how I started with my own business on LinkedIn, getting clients. Very niche audience, right? Debt collection. So I have a full listing, what we do. We help your debt collection agency, et cetera, et cetera. This is how to appeal to multiple audiences using multiple lines of business or things like that, because most of us do more than one thing, right? And then I had another listing here. Let me show you that as well, right? Public speaking business. So I have a whole listing for that. Again, I added that as a position. Okay. Then you can have, I also do something with labor unions or whatever it is, right? So again, with you, do the same thing. You can see John Morgan here as a business coach and consultant. He's got an individual program that he wants to promote, but then he's also got a group coaching program that he wants to promote. So he's got those listed as different positions. That's one of the real secrets to appealing to multiple audiences or multiple industries on LinkedIn. Just add a new position, make it all about that audience. And the benefit for that is it will show up in LinkedIn searches with those different keywords that those audiences use. So that's why you want to really take advantage of this experience section. You can see he's got multiple things going on. Then he's got another position, quote unquote, listed for his books, right? As a best-selling author to promote his book. And then on and on and on it goes, right? And then he has his old business, real estate, right? So just to kind of connect the dots on his career. I want you to do the same thing with your experience section. Add multiple positions to appeal to different audiences or lines of service or different things that you provide. Connect all the dots with your career as far as where you've worked, and utilize the same approach that I taught you with the summary. Client-facing job titles, client-facing positions, client-facing text in here, using those kind of call-outs and capital letters, and that's how you're going to roll with the experience. So that is enough for one module. I'll let you get to it, and I will see you in the next video.